listening to us. He just sent me a message after you introduced.
The list. A number of individuals were listening.
So he just sent me a message. Dr. Norbert, wherever you are, I know it's Friday. And tonight we'll be meeting somewhere to celebrate a colleague who successfully defended his PhD yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Which is Prince. So let me use the opportunity to congratulate him. I did mine 3 weeks ago, so I'm
successfully defended
my
your
PhD 3 weeks ago. So I'm old in the space. So let me use the opportunity to congratulate Prince, who did his own yesterday. A very good brother. Dr. Norbert, he's our senior. We were a year group, but he had the opportunity to graduate before. So let me use the opportunity to congratulate all of them and also say that tonight we'll be meeting up to celebrate our brother Prince for the success.
We should have added, so I should have said Dr. Fad Osman.
Well, GTech has a condition that if you're not officially graduated yet, you are not allowed to use the title.
So next year's convocation.
No, hopefully July. That'll be next 2 months. I'll be graduating next 2 months.
Fantastic. Yeah. Congratulations to yourself as well.
Thank you very much.
We have a list of items we're supposed to be having a conversation on, but this morning we've been talking about hostels, the hostel systems at our university, and a number of people shared stories. I mean, one of our producers, Frederick Kunzo Tiani, was sharing a story as to sleeping in classrooms all throughout first year because he came from Kunzo, Northeast region, right? Upper East, all the way to Accra, had no idea as to the hostel facilities and the system that they operate, and he had it rough sleeping in, so he had to be going through louver blades to go and be sleeping in JQB and all of that. This thing has persisted for a very long time. Now we're seeing the rent control taking some efforts to stop the hostel managers or the facility managers from charging exorbitant fees and all of that. I mean, just quick thoughts, because it's not a subject matter, and why this continues to persist, because some of the stories and the amounts being charged completely ludicrous in my view. I'll start with you, Mr. Kutin, then I'll come to soon to be Doc.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a very interesting conversation, and I think it couldn't have come at a better time. If you look at Ghana as a country, we have a lot of deficits when it comes to housing. And the most critical aspect is what Kunzu raised. He's not alone, but I think Kunzu ought to be celebrated. I even understand he's the first from his family.
Yeah, his village, his school. He was the first to make it to the university.
If you look at the Western universities, when they are giving admissions, they prioritize some of these demographics. If you are the first generation of you entering university, they give that premium. So people like Kunzu should really be encouraged and given other opportunities. And when I say other opportunities, I know that at media genre, it's a competition of ideas and who can do what best and who cannot do what best. You understand? By given the special circumstances and where he came from, through sleeping rough in the hostels and those things to get to where he is in the classroom, I think that he ought to be celebrated. Look, Marina, some of us have gone through the same thing, and let me share this personal experience. Sometimes people look at us and think that we come from very rich background. No. My father was a teacher. My mom hadn't even been to school. And I stated here before, I got the opportunity to wear slippers when I got admission to secondary school. And even then, you know the conflict, the Nanumba, the unfortunate conflict, and sometimes we security people say that sometimes conflict is good. It unites people. Until that conflict happened, we Kunkumbes, Nanumbes, and the Gumbes never really held together like we are holding now. We have all seen the fault lines, and we realize that we are better together as one than fighting one another. Look, I had to navigate through 3-4 secondary schools. When the conflict happened in Tamale, I was taken to Navrungo and Notre Dame with a set of other students. And you can imagine, I can't pass through Tamale to Bolga to Navrongo. I have to come through Accra to Wa and pass through the Hamley side to Upper East. So we were then made choices whether they want to come to Xavier. And that was why I opted to come to Xavier. And still, I had to come through Accra. Those were the days of OSA, you remember? I would spend 3 days. Then, fortunately on my side, my uncle was a judge in Kwando. And then he was able to get me admission Bishop Herman. And I had to move from Xavier to Bishop Herman. So my colleagues went 2 years ahead of me. So he's not alone. And look at destiny. When I finished Bishop Herman, because I don't like to farm, I ran to Accra. I didn't know anybody in Accra. I became a houseboy. I deceived somebody that was an orphan, a Nigerian couple, and they took me in as a houseboy. In fact, what I went through there, I vowed that I would never treat my fellow human being the way I was treated. Until I left and did another houseboy job on the Spinters. The couples are still there at the 18th junction. Then I was teaching their children. Then the woman would say, this boy, you teach my children, they go and get all the marks. Who are you? I was not so prepared to disclose my identity to these people until my results came and I just left home. And I had qualified to go to tertiary institution. When I went home, my father named me the prodigal son because they didn't know where I am. And that has opened many opportunities through this diversity that I am sitting where I'm sitting today. You understand? So when I went to school, I was already exposed to the dangers of life. So I went to student leadership role, became the JUNUS president, and at the national level, I became the international relations officer and had the opportunity to travel to the United Kingdom to pursue further education at Leicester Uni. So we have all gone through that life trajectory. And I'm just sharing to encourage Konzo that God has only given him that opportunity to handle him and prepare him for other opportunities ahead. But government, as a matter of policy, must averse its minds to our housing deficit at our tertiary education level. Look, my children at Legon, I had to pay close to 40,000 for pent for them to be there a year. How is that even imaginable?
40,000.
40,000 pent.
These are the room prices.
Room prices.
40,000 for one in a room. 24,000.
No, 24 I paid because I paid 2 in a room because there are 2, and one is at Legon Hall. He got Legon Hall, but those who didn't get the mainstream and we were late, and all the accommodations were full, and I didn't want these children to study from the house. Otherwise, they will be lazy. So it was not a luxury, you understand. It was contingency plans I had to make. Because of what I went through, I didn't want any of my children to go through the same thing. So Konzo, I encourage you, your story is touching. It is only preparing you for greatness.
Absolutely.
And prepare your mind that there are an assignment God is preparing you for. It doesn't matter whether you are from Upper East, or you are from Western region, or you are from Volta region. If God wants to use you, those protocols are broken. So I share in your story.
Many thanks. Fad, I'll come to you as well, but let me say as well that Dr. Thomas Anaba has joined us in studio as well. Doc, good morning to you. I trust that all is well.
Good morning to you. Good morning to my co-panelists and viewers and listeners.
Right. I'm just making quick thoughts on hostels because we were discussing hostels this morning and the challenges. So far, I'll come to you on quick thoughts on that as well, and then maybe Doc will also share a few views before we zoom into the conversations for today.
I think I'm in this environment already. I'm just coming from University of Ghana, and I'm a living experience. I have the lived experience of it on campus, and I think it's just like my senior brother said, there is a challenge with our supply and demand when it comes to accommodation. Not to even talk of the university alone. It's a general problem. But I believe government can take up some initiatives. I think what we've got into, yes, we have private individuals coming up to provide some support in the way of hostel facilities. But very often, how to regulate them becomes a problem. So you can end up seeing all these charges.
Exorbitant fees.
It's too high. It's too high. I've paid some before, so I know how it feels. It's too high. I think what we've got into, education cannot be that expensive. If we do admit that education is no more a privilege, which is a right, I think we should do everything in our power to take away all these bottlenecks. Because if somebody is coming from Kumasi, coming from Upper West, Upper East, and he gets admission to Legon, and he has to travel to Accra to come and find an accommodation, and the cost of accommodation alone, look at the fees, the accommodation alone, for a year. It's more than the 4-year fees he's going to pay at the university level. So imagine such people will come to Accra and have to struggle and go and look for other accommodations, either private or individual accommodations. And there's the problem. Transportation systems in Accra, very bad. So if you have a class at 7 a.m., this person has to leave home at 5 a.m., travel all the way to wherever the university campus is, attend lectures, close around 5, 7, go through the traffic. Look at the traffic, goes through and get back to the accommodation wherever he's living. So this person gets home already exhausted and tired. How do you expect such a student to even have that kind of comfort to learn? So I believe it's a bigger problem. We need to deal with every part of it as a nation. Government has to quickly step in, open it up, get private individuals and private institutions to have this government partnership arrangement with them. Let them build a lot of hostel facilities. Put in place proper accommodation transport systems, which can transport them from their various accommodations to the university campuses to reduce all these challenges. If not, my brother, there are people who are still home, can't attend tertiary education because of these charges.
Someone is sharing a message that some of them wouldn't have been able to go through the university considering the prevailing hostel fees.
Seriously. It's a lived experience I have gone through. First year PhD, I had a similar challenge. I came from Kumasi. I'm not an Accra boy. I came from Kumasi to just come do 1-2 staffs. Then I decided to do PhD at the University of Ghana. First year, I felt the heat. So I had to go and look for other private accommodation elsewhere. You get the point. So I believe with my options, I had options. I had to go and look for other accommodations. There are others who do not have these options. And I think it is denying them access to education. It is making education a privilege for the few in society who can afford, which I think we should not be having these discussions. Government, respectfully, government, we're pleading with you. We know you have a lot on your table to handle. But what we're heading towards with this kind of accommodation fees, and sometimes if you look at the unfair allocation of accommodation, you go early, you struggle to get. Somebody comes late, the person gets accommodation through friends, and there are a whole lot of issues surrounding all these university accommodations. I think if we're able to open it up and we have enough supply, the challenge and the demand for it will be dealt with, and I believe it is going to reduce the cost involved. I believe this will help us in that regard. If not, we'll come back next year, this thing will still be there. The numbers of students being admitted on a year-on-year basis keeps increasing. And as a result of that, it's going to increase the demand for the accommodation. I believe if we can have a correlation between the two, it will help reduce some of these problems, and it will also help at least grant access to every Ghanaian student who qualifies to acquire tertiary education, not to leave anybody behind, because we are developing as a country. If we are not careful and this becomes a problem to leave people behind, trust me, just like you gave a live experience, he had to go through all these difficulties. He had the thick skin to do. Trust me.
Not everybody can
do that. To tell somebody to go and sleep in the lecture hall at night so he can attend the lectures the following morning, to go and bath in a public washroom down there so he can quickly attend lectures. No, not everybody can do that. And it will become a problem for such people. And trust me, if people begins to have a feel that their country has failed them, their nation has failed them, that is the beginning of all these negativities we see in our society. Right. But at that point, he sees himself that I have been left out of the country. My country has nothing to offer me. And these such people, trust me, if they meet you at night, anywhere in Accra or anywhere in this country, trust me, they will never hesitate to do anything to you and pick your mobile phone from you. This is some of the issues that lead to all these things we witness today in society. So I think we should do something about it as a nation.
Right.
This is not politics. We should all together as a country come together. Private business people, we are begging you. We know your motive is profit making.
But no excessive profit.
We beg them. In economics, we call it abnormal profits. We beg you, private business people. We know when the demand comes up, you adjust your prices. Respectfully, we are building a country with education. We should contribute some quota of our profit into helping deal with these problems. I believe we all have a responsibility to play in this regard.
Absolutely, absolutely. Soon to be doc by July, I'm sure we will celebrate FAD as well as a doctor. But a doctor is on to his left. Dr. Thomas Anaba, who's the member of Parliament for Garo as well. Doc, just brief thoughts, because I'll come to you heavy on the report by the committee. Just quick thoughts on the hostel situation. Now we are seeing the rent control trying to step in and prevent the private facility managers from the exorbitant increases that they hike these hostels by. Better late than never, some say.
When I heard the story, I just compared, I tried to analyze why students call me all the time, even before I became MP, to support them to pay rent in hospital. It was mind-boggling. I don't think anybody from Garu, let me say, will be able to pay fees in Legon to study there. It means that they've just cut off people from Garu. Unless you get government facility to stay there, it means that you can never study in Legon. I think it's too much. But you see, I want to look at it from a different perspective.
Right.
And it may sound weird. I look at it to be the cause of our problems, our universities, to be the cause of our problems in this country. Legon, the mighty Legon, don't have strategies who can develop a proposal, approach SNIT, approach insurance companies to get money, to put up hostels and be able to pay back the money. To me, it's a shame.
An indictment on the university.
To me, yes. They are the ones who teach all those actuarial scientists and all those things, all those top-notch business people in the country, that themselves cannot sit down to develop a proposal. SNIT has a lot of money that they can use to build hostel facility to eat. Look, Algeria, there's a university that has accommodation for 25,000 people. Where did they get the money? From internally. UK pensions money, where does it go? In BP. Pension money goes into BP, British Petroleum.
Yeah.
What is our pension money doing that our universities, we don't have accommodation, cheap accommodation for our students? That we have top-notch professors, excuse me, sorry, but it pains me that our biggest university, our topmost university in this country, cannot develop a strategy, a winnable, let me say, an implementable proposal to any financial institution to flood the university with hostels, very beautiful ones, so that people can pay it at a minimum cost to be able to learn comfortably. I'll blame the university. I don't blame those who have used their own money to go and build facilities there and they are taking money. I blame the university and the leadership of the university. We are doing masters in this, PhD in this. And all of them are, most of them are humanities, business, people come out to manage big businesses. Most of those managing the banks and insurance companies in this country
have one certificate or the other.
Where did they come from? That the university cannot come out with this? They should give me the chance. I'll get people to put up a proposal and we'll approach those institutions. Why? They have made the university, they are punishing the students. I would say the management of the universities are those punishing the students. It's not government, it's not the private people. They have failed in organizing, ensuring that the universities have accommodation. You go abroad, and the universities all have accommodation, and people, they get in private people to build the hostels, just like they are doing here. But the university must be a backup. Say, we'll guarantee students go in there. They will work at the cost of putting up the building and tell you, okay, this is what you can make in a year from this number of students. You can use 10 years to recoup your money. So the investment should be a 10-year investment plan. Why can't Legon do it? With all the professors we have.
And they control the prices.
I respect them, but they are failed in this aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair analysis and one that we all around the table can.
I love the dynamics and where you came from.
I think we all can.
Policy-wise, that's the way to go. In fact, I cannot comprehend that.
The demand is there.
And the interest in Lagos is just too much. People have brought proposals, but they are not interested. Somebody's cut must be met. You understand? If so far as I don't get to enjoy from it, will not happen. How can we live like that?
So it's still the management. If you want a cut before it's done, policy. Then the person will take his money away.
It's policy. I think the education ministry needs to kind of do some intervention at public tertiary institutions and do PP arrangement with private institutions or the SNIT like we are talking about. SNIT indeed has a lot of money. And pensioners' funds can even be guaranteed this kind of investment. Because these are investment in perpetuity.
There will always be students.
There will always be students.
You get hostel managers, you put a fee, the university sit down with them, put up a fee. Look, if you are taking this amount every year, this is when you can recover your money and recover your interest. Calculate everything. At the end, they can even build, operate, and transfer. They will get a hostel manager to be managing it and accruing money for the university. Why do we sit down and we are crying, the whole university crying for accommodation? Even, the one Ministry of Health to bring.
Even if you look at Mensa Saba Hall,
yes,
I think the old students of Mensa Saba came together, put some resources and built a hostel.
Vikings.
But go to Vikings and see how much they are charging. They have commercialized it. Their intention should not be for profit per se, but to contribute in solving a social problem. And like you mentioned, if we don't resolve some of these things, it means that education will always be to the highest bidder. And those of us who come from underserved communities, it becomes practically impossible to think about some of these things.
But for Cuba and for their free way of doing things, Cuba, there's no university that hasn't got accommodation for all students.
You see?
And Cuba is even poorer than Ghana.
Even
Cuba is poorer than Ghana. We had accommodation for everybody has a bed, everybody has his corner, his locker, his bathroom to go and take a shower and stay.
Even Cuba.
Yes. So I don't see what is wrong with us that the universities cannot come up with strategies, with plans, proposals to woo investors to come and build hostels for them, because it's a guaranteed business that you have the population. Students cannot even find hostels. The demand for it is very high. So you can put up and now reduce the costs to the barest minimum, at least to make your profit, because it must be done with some human touch, because you can't go and make it so expensive. The more you have the hostels and the students are there and they pay it, you can recover your money in 10 years. I challenge the universities to do that.
You see that every year the numbers keep increasing. It has never been a year the number had gone down. It's always increasing. So the actuaries, they should have even looked at these things, and somebody would have even come out to project work to advise the university that this and that and that.
Somebody can do his thesis on it, his PhD thesis on it, and implement it.
So you see in this country,
it's a policy direction, right?
Like you said,
there's a central government that has to also influence policy. So I think it's a very good call. But I also believe if the ministry, that's Ministry of Education, who also lead such
university will tell you they're autonomous.
That's what I said. I'm not saying they should impose it,
cry for
but they should lead such initiatives with them. They can get it, because sometimes ministry representing government coming in with the universities can also have a very common ground where they can all agree.
But we have university boards headed by seasoned people, councils.
Yes.
So I can't even understand this. You see, actually, and with the greatest of respect, I don't mean any malice at all. Look, Doc, have you observed that we are in education crisis as a continent? I mean Africa. The generation that we are is not the certificate, it's the skills, the social cohesion. But we are interested in the certificates. So we have professors in engineering. When their cars break down on the way, they have to call
someone engineer.
Engineer is not engineer.
When I'm talking about engineering, but we have mechanics. I'm talking about mechanical engineering. You see, look, you have just done your PhD. You see, in this country, we seem to revere people with titles too much. We must encourage practical skills. That has been the bane of Africa. Look at China.
No, you know the reason why we don't pay based on productivity.
How many Chinese do you hear them? Doctor so and so, Professor so and so. Look at the Chinese.
I agree perfectly.
Look at Finland.
Yes,
Look at Finland.
Right.
Look at the education model Finland and Rwanda adapted.
Yes.
Look at how it has
things just final comment.
See, the reason is that we don't pay based on productivity. We just pay because you are employed. If we are paying based on productivity, we employ people with skills.
Yes, so it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
We pretend to be working, right?
And the government.
And then the government also pretends to be paying.
That was very.
It's a problem that we need to deal as a society.
How will we deal with it when the workforce in itself will rise up against you when you want to begin to check
resistance to
productivity? But anyways, let's get into our main conversation right now, and we're starting off with that unfortunate incident which happened in February of this year, where Charles Amissah died as a result of a lack of no bed, because that's a description that's been put on it. The committee has done its work, led by Professor Bidu Akosa, and some individuals have been recommended for disciplinary action be taken against them. It's brought about a lot of conversation. The Ghana Medical Association yesterday said the nature in which the report was put out and the persons named has put targets on their back, and there's concern that they are already being attacked and receiving phone calls and threats and all of that. And Doc, I will come to you because you're the medical expert here, and I know before Parliament you led a civil society where I spoke to you a lot of the time on matters in relation to health here as well. In terms of the report, putting together all the concerns, there are those who say that if we look at the report, it's seeking to blame just the health professionals and leaves out the system and all of the challenges which exist. The committee presented a report to the health committee yesterday as well. What is your own assessment of the work that was done? Was it fair? Because the doctors say it's not been fair to them entirely.
Yeah, what I would say is that I think they were given terms of reference, and they worked based on the terms of reference.
Right.
They were given two main things to do. Identify what killed the young man, and identify what issues led to the death. After he had the accident, and they went through that. They didn't tell him to do a systemic review of everything, of the health system, and come and report to them. So if we are going to base on the terms of reference given to the committee by the minister, I think they did a very good job.
They've done the job.
They've done a good job. Right, that is what I would say. Because if you also look at the composition of the people who did the investigations, they are all top-notch doctors, led by a very formidable man of integrity. Yeah. Prof. Akosa was once a GMA president, became the Ghana Health Service Director General. So GMA president means he has some affinity with doctors. Ghana Health Service Director General, it means he understands the regulations and the rules governing the service. He's a pathologist. No one is best diagnosing what caused death in this country than he himself. And he's a seasoned doctor, highly respected. He wouldn't put his reputation on the line. Likewise, the other doctors. I think everybody agrees to the findings. The only thing that they are complaining is that why didn't they blame the administration or the administrators or the system? But that was not contained in the terms of reference. So to me, it was a very beautiful work done. The complaints have come, a lot of complaints. GMA, I heard them saying that there must be facility liability. But you see, as a physician, and luckily I'm an emergency physician, an intensivist, and anesthesiologist. Okay. I happen to be part of the team that developed the Ministry of Health policy guidelines for accident and emergencies in Ghana in 2011.
Wow.
And it is very clear, and they base on a lot of literature, references to do their investigations, and they cited that document. You see, the emergencies have one duty. And the first duty of any emergency department in Ghana, a hospital that has been classified to receive emergency, one of its first duties is that anybody who arrives, there's one activity you must perform. Whatever be the case, you must perform that activity. That is what we call triaging. And triaging is just to have a look at the patient, feel him, and classify him as red, yellow, orange, green, or black. And why do we have to classify? To see whether you are to attend to him immediately or you can postpone the treatment. And this is where the problem is. Whether the facility had beds, had a laboratory, had a theater, had whatever, triage can be carried out without those facilities. That is where I want to calm my colleague doctors. I understand. I may be talking, people may think I don't like my colleague doctors, but let's face the facts. Because we want people to learn, then tomorrow we don't repeat the same mistakes. And at least incur the wrath of the public like we are doing now. To do triage, you actually don't need anything in the emergency. You just need your stethoscope. And mostly it is nurses who do it. They look at the patient, how he walks in, whether he came on a wheelchair, whether he came on a stretcher, whether he came, however he came, whether he's bleeding or not, then they can just take the BP, the temperature, to see whether he's stable. The BP, the heart rate, and the temperature. Those variables would allow you to classify the patient. This is the case. My colleague doctors and the nurses who were the first people to be called to see to the patient, none of them even went to see the patient when he arrived. Because when the ambulance arrived, he must tell the triage team or the doctors there that we brought a case. Then they roll him in. But the moment they get there, they met them and they say there's no bed. Take him back. Did you do the triage? The law is that, did somebody arrive at the emergency? Per the guidelines, did somebody arrive at the emergency? Yes. Did you do the triage? That's all. That's where Prof. Akosa and his team, based on, and they said they were at fault. If it is that they went in to do the triage and say, look, okay, he's stable, we've stabilized him, his BP, we've improved it, we don't have a bed, take him to this hospital, we've called and connected. And you are the same doctors who are talking about this are complaining that there's no connectivity on calling other hospitals. Then how do you reject the patient if you know that you can't call another hospital to assure that there's a bed or there's no bed before you send? The ambulance people's work is to bring the patient. That is a big systemic problem. And I acknowledge that we have a serious systemic problem when it comes to communication between hospitals, and we have human resource problems, we have infrastructure problems. But that notwithstanding, the procedure, the policy was devolved, taking into cognizance our conditions. Triaging can even be done at the emergency scene. When you get there too, you look at all those who have got the accident and save those who can survive first before you take, in terms of mass casualty, before you attempt those who are almost about to die. It reverses. At the accident scene, you save those who can survive, many of those who can survive. And those who are almost dying, you leave them to go. But when it comes to at the emergency department in the hospital, you save the one who is most critical first before you touch those who are stable. So it happened that this accident involved only one person. They pick the person, they take the vital signs and bring him to the place. And they said their BP machine in the ambulance, it had a problem in getting to where he was lying to take the next BP. So throughout, they recorded only one blood pressure of the patient. 120. Yes. Something. So if the doctors or the nurses at the 3 hospitals had attempted to assess the patients with their monitors or with their BP machine, and the doctors see the person bleeding, the first thing is to arrest the bleeding. What would you do? You triage the patients and rescue the bleeding. Then you can now refer or prepare. So to blame the system, yes, we can still blame the system, but the investigation was limited. The scope of the investigation was limited to what causes death and what led to the cause of the death. What probably led to the cause of the death is that there was no triage done on him and he was asked to move to another hospital, to another hospital, to another hospital. If triage was done, then they will be mandated by law to resuscitate him. They've been mandated by law to resuscitate him. Make sure his vitals are stable. Make sure there's no more bleeding. If his conscience level is very bad, they try to improve it. And if you remember in his Prof. Akosa's presentation, he said that the ambulance team told them that, are you sure we can move this patient to the next hospital because he doesn't look good? But remember, the time that they spent from picking the patient to the other hospital, I think they did very well. And this would not allow you as an EMT to continuously be taking the BPs. Because from, let's say, Circle to police hospital, the time was too short that the person who was restless and struggling with 2 nurses trying to stabilize him, 2 EMTs trying to stabilize him in the ambulance to get to the hospital, it's going to be difficult for you to be continuously taking the BP. It is when you arrive at the hospital that they'll have the luxury with more staff coming in to be able to reassess him, do a reassessment. But if they are talking to you and you refuse, what do? They'll move to the next place. So to me, we have what we call professional liability, like they mentioned, and we have facility liability. Facility liability is when the professional does all the initial things, does all the initial work on the patient, resuscitate him, stabilize him, or is stabilizing him, and the facility cannot provide him the needed resources to continue stabilizing him. Yeah. That is where you blame the facility. But you have the professional liability at the emergency. Is that the first thing you have to do? Your first liability is to what? Assess the patient, categorize him, and see whether you should keep him for 30 minutes before you treat, keep him for 4 hours before you treat, or treat him immediately. That is where they failed. To be honest, I sympathize with them. I know people are giving them calls and then the rest, and they are not happy. But right. Ghanaians, please, let's also calm down small. All of us doctors, I've said it somewhere, there's no doctor in this world, when they did some research anonymously, tell us whether you've ever made a mistake in your life on a patient. They had 98%. Everybody made a mistake in his life before. We all make mistakes. Even here, you make mistakes sometimes, slip of tongue and other things, or you air some news which is not correct, and you have to apologize and the rest. We've all made mistakes. They might have made mistake, and we have seen it, but don't attack them. We want them to recover and be able to learn from their mistake to do the best. And this exposure is not to tarnish their image. It's to allow others to learn from it and know that the next time you see a patient in your hospital,
right,
even if you don't have bed, the hospital must develop a policy, which is the escalating policy, that when the emergency is full, who should be the next person to call to arrange for beds in the hospital? I think the military hospital has it. Yes, they have it. So that when the beds there are full, you are obliged to move patients from the emergency who can move to the ward. And the most serious challenge we have in a hospital is how patients stay long in the hospitals because of sometimes some few coins he can't pay. And you keep that person and the hospital is full. Somebody has road traffic accident, they treated him orthopedic surgery, now he can't pay, he can't leave, and he's keeping the bed. And somebody comes, they say no bed, and he dies. Meanwhile, somebody has come, you've treated, he can't pay, and he's keeping the bed. I say, call social welfare. The law allows it. Rich hospital, we did it a lot. Call social welfare to come and take that case, sit down with them, write an undertaking. Social welfare will follow them to pay the money small, and finish. So the next patient coming will get a bed to lie down. Why do you keep people in hospitals for very long? Because they can't pay bills and the rest. But thankfully now, I think the health insurance is doing well. They are not behind time. They are paying very well. In terms of payments. And if at all there is no bed to take patients, the law, the policy states that resuscitate him and ensure that he can get to the next hospital. Or you can even move a stable patient in your hospital and connect with another hospital, send him there, and keep the very bad one who cannot be transported again in your hospital.
Right.
So that is my position, and I think that the committee did a very good job, and no one should blame them. Calling the doctors and threatening them is not good, but also saying we shouldn't publish the names. I say that some doctors have also called from those who to tell me that they are happy they publish the name because they couldn't raise their heads in town. So it's
a two-way affair.
It's a two-way affair.
People like it.
Some doctors are calling and say, look, doc, now I'm relieved because Anywhere I'm working, they say, oh, these are the doctors working at this hospital. We are not saying they are incompetent doctors. They only faulted ethically. To me, they faulted ethically. But competence, I don't doubt them.
That's
so Ghanaians, those doctors are competent. Let's not let the ethical issue, we know it has led to the death of somebody, my sympathy to the family. Let's not use that one, at least, to destroy them completely. Let's appreciate them and try to see how we can bring them back on board so that in future they will keep saving more patients. They will learn from the mistake they have done. And management, look, managements in hospitals should sit up.
I'll come back to the recommendations as to it all, but Ebo's joined us in studio as well. He's a deputy communications officer of the UP. I'll pick his thoughts, then I'll come to us quickly, because some of us we've been speaking already before he came in studio. Ebo, quickly on this issue as well, and what you've made of the report and the conversation surrounding it.
I think let me say this, that we need to look beyond this case. In fact, our discussion should not center on this case, because recently a pregnant woman also died at Kaswa for the same lack of bed issue, which means it's a broader, issue. So that is how we need to look at it, even though we are going to start from the reports from the committee. Because, yes, Doc was talking about the fact that this one is more of the people not doing, the doctors or the professionals not doing what they were supposed to do. But sometimes it can also be fair and say that probably they were also set up by the system to fail. Because I see a very big hole in our health delivery system, whether we like it or not. We have a lot of problems in there. So in discussing issues concerning human life and human well-being, I think we should look at both the system itself and individuals who work within the system. In this case, we all agree that the young man could have lived, but for the negligence of the professionals. We all agree. But beyond that, what kind of system do we have as a nation? From training, how do we train our health professionals to be caring, to be responsible, to be efficient? How do we train them? I was on the show with one of your colleagues. He made a point, a very profound point. He said we are in a country where we train someone to become a nurse. After completing the nursing school, the person will stay home sometimes 4 years before the person gets recruitment or appointment letter to begin to practice. So within that 3 years, the person, all the practical things the person learned in school might have left him or her, because 3 years without, some of them, he gave an example. He said he met a nurse, someone who had been trained to become a nurse, working at a restaurant. So if the person for the 3 years is supposed to work at a restaurant because we can't employ that person, by the time you say, now I can employ you, the person is no more a nurse. The person is a restaurant waiter or waitress. Because it took you 3 years to train the person has worked in that restaurant for more than 4 years. So is he going to the hospital as a nurse or as a waiter or waitress? That is the problem we have. That's what I'm talking about, the issue of the system itself. I mean, logistically, we are not there. We failed as a nation. We don't have the facilities. You see, this young man's issue occurred at, if you look at the hospital, the kind of hospitals that are involved. Just imagine those who get similar emergency situations and go to the cheap compounds, polyclinics, and these community clinics, the kind of service or the kind of health care they receive. Are you getting it? So we need to look at it holistically. This is a huge problem. I think as a nation, this should provide us with an opportunity to reform our health system.
The committee has recommended a number of things which is aiming to see to a reform across the length and breadth. One of the many things I said I was going to come back to Doc on was a suggestion that the ambulance service could not even put pressure on some of the wounds. And I'm asking whether or not there's been a deficit in training all this while for our ambulance service.
So the ambulances, what kind of ambulances do we have? In terms of equipment, are they well equipped? Or the ambulances that are supposed to carry people from one place to the other? I mean, these are the challenges we have as a nation. That's what I'm saying, that you see, it's quite unfortunate. You see, let me tell you, there are two places that all of us may end up being: prison and hospital. If you're a politician, prison is your potential candidate.
You're a potential candidate for
potential candidate. If so long as you're a human being, you are a potential patient. These two places, we know we can potentially go there. Yet we don't provide, we don't build proper facilities for ourselves. So.
They don't go to our hospitals. They go abroad.
I'm coming. That's why I'm going to. But because most of them, they have what it takes to travel outside to South Africa. Even when we have xenophobic, they still go to South Africa. They go to South Africa, other places, for first-class medical care. They've neglected ours for so long a time, politicians. Let me tell you this. We can have first-class facilities in every district in this country. If we decide to do, we are determined to do as a people, if we be truthful to ourselves and manage our resources well, we can train our people, pay them properly. Think about it. Why is it that the same doctors and nurses, when they find themselves at private hospitals, they are very efficient and caring. But when they come to the public hospitals, you see some of these, you have TikTok nurses. TikTok nurses, even when they are at the ward, they are using their phone. Go to the private hospital, you will not find any, even if you are a TikToker, by the time you get there, your phone is somewhere. You are very serious working, saving lives. So why the difference? Private sector, caring and efficient. Public sector, they don't care, they are not efficient. I mean, these are some of the things we need to, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them, their behavior. If you go to some of the hospitals, sometimes you want to stab somebody. It happened to me, not me myself going to the hospital because I was sick, but taking someone to the hospital, you expect that they will show care, they will show concern, like as if someone is dying. Oh, just you sit there, fine. Yeah. You fine. You sit there. Supervision. That's what I'm saying. The system is not only the facilities. That's what I'm saying. Training. When they are working, supervision, monitoring and supervision. That's what takes place at private hospitals. That's why if you go to private hospitals, you don't find some of the things you find at the public hospital.
Right.
So we still have a long way to go.
Let me come to soon to be Doc, then I'll go to Mr. Kutin. So because I see he wants to have a bite on this matter. Yes, he wants
He's my man. Although
Dr. Nama says you have a big bowl.
He's dog me. He's my man. But he dog me. This man, he's my man.
He just defended his PhD, so the brain is so free. Something. So he wants to release.
Strong analysis.
It's not like that.
He's my man, but he dog me.
It's a very practical experience, I believe, not just because of the reports. When this accident happened earlier on, in classroom, I taught my students on matters like this, right? And we discussed this particular case in classroom. We discussed it. We had a practical discussion on how it happened and what led to the death of the gentleman before the report even coming out. And the reason being that there is something we call service quality. And it happens in most of our hospitals across the country. Service quality. How do you determine service quality? Yes, facility, just like Doc said, he talked about professional liability and facility liability. It's important. We have something we call the tangibles in service delivery. That's the facility. So yes, we will argue that hospitals will complain. We don't have everything we need as a health institution. We do agree to that. But there are 3 or 4 other factors that boils down to the individual professionals who renders these services. Very beautiful presentation on they don't care. That's the empathy aspect of it. Empathy aspect of it. You have health service delivery personnel who do not really pay attention to their emergency cases. So when you pick empathy, I remember when we were discussing this, my students, I asked them, I presented the case, and I asked them, let's discuss this in relation to this particular topic. And interestingly, experiences being shared in classroom tells you that Ghanaians do not trust our healthcare delivery in this country. So forgive doctor where he sits today, that he goes to, he said South Africa for health treatment and everything.
No, not dog.
Well, I mean, in their category. In their category.
Look, let me put
in their category.
Dog owns one of the beautiful health facilities in the north.
Okay.
So I'm not sure Dog.
Oh, please, I don't mean, I'm not personalizing him.
He's just happen to be among the lions, but he's a sheep.
And another interesting issue has to do with responsiveness. How quick do they respond to such cases? You see, if you pick all the dimensions and you want to do the blame analysis, honestly speaking, you end up blaming the professionals. Because out of the 5 dimensions, government comes in on only one. That's the tangibles, the facilities. And trust me, in situations where facilities are lacking, human being steps in to take in measures to curtail some of these problems. So I believe that, yes, as a developing country, we will get to a point someday, maybe in the next 30, 50 years to come, where we'll have all the facilities we need as a country. But the human nature of it is where management has to come in. We are calling on management, just like Ibo indicated. You go to private health facilities, there is strict management in place. Management is ensuring that if an emergency case comes, you do not sit and look behind and tell me that, oh, we've seen it all the time. You see, that's a very painful thing they tell patients. Oh, this case there, we've seen several times. So you said that you not die. You get that concept? I believe that is where the problems comes from. So I think that if we can go back to our training of health personnel again, to also input in this compassion that they will have for patients, I think it will help us in solving some of these problems. Because you do not tell me you are in to save lives, and yet you care less about lives.
Yeah, you are trained to save lives.
You are trained to save life. Me, I don't have no knowledge about health. So if you take me there, trust me, the reason I didn't even like anything about health was, honestly speaking, the sight of blood. Growing up, I see the sight of blood, and that's I'm just going to be sick the whole day. So because of that, anything health, I just stayed away.
You are not alone.
You get the point? I went for another doctor, so I will not see blood. You see the point? The book does, I will not see blood. So I think that, yes, sometimes when you're doing the blame games, I believe individuals involved, just like you earlier on indicated, that yes, their names are out there now. People know them from the hospitals they operate and all these stuff. And let's also admit that the gentleman who lost his life is from a family, right? So sometimes you could have people who also come at you, because if you had acted upon, probably will be alive today. And the painful part I heard from the story was that the gentleman has 2 siblings who are medical professionals.
I spoke to one of her sisters who's a doctor.
So you see, if
saving lives, and yet you couldn't save his life.
And I think another major concern has to do with the financing, the money involved. Very often, some of these hospitals turn you back not because they don't have the facilities to take care of you. The fear that, what if we take care of you and something happens? Who is coming to take up the bill? That has been one of the major challenges.
It shouldn't be.
So we are begging them.
On this platform today, Doc has even mentioned social welfare, being able to come in to take care of.
There should be a system where, at emergency situations, take care of the patient.
And we'll talk about
the finances later.
Save their
but
life
the
first.
finances should not be a block where you have to use, because what if he dies? We've already incurred cost in trying to treat him. So I think that is another problem we need to look at. Yes, we do admit, with the greatest of respect to the persons involved, we do admit the tangibles, that's the facilities, we are still lacking behind. But there are 4 dimensions pointing to the personnels, which I think that as government institutions, management, just like Obo indicated, management should be up and doing. Administrators of our various hospitals, please, it is not just to go and sit in the office and just go throughout the day when issues come up, you come and talk on TV or radio and go and sit back. No, there are a lot of issues you need to deal with at your facilities. Right. And I think that we should all help do that and change the mindset which Ghanaians have today. Because where I sit, and I told you earlier on, My students have a very negative impression about public health service in this country, and I think they are not alone. And a lot of people have the same opinion.
Right.
Thank you very much.
It's a good thing you have the last but
Right,
one, on the subject.
In fact, Marina, I don't want to bore our listeners repeating the same thing my panelists have said, but I just want to contextualize it in another form. You see, the terms of reference the health minister gave, he kind of absorbed the institutions from blame. And if you look at the recommendations, they were institutional in nature, apart from the punishment aspect. And let's be clear, this is not just any rogue doctor actions that have led to this. If our institution will allow a patient with survivable wounds over 3 hospitals, you cannot label this as the result of misconduct. It is institutional failure. And I think as a country, we talk about some of these things when they happen and we go to sleep after that. I tell me talk and do nothing nation. Neto. Talk and do nothing. You see, this is a very serious matter, especially like a bold reference. A pregnant woman died under similar circumstances. Look, if you just single out these 6 doctors for punishment, the same system that produced these 6 doctors will produce the same doctors if we don't look at the institutional angle of it. How can it be the case, like Doc mentioned, your Hippocratic oath, the triage you mentioned, it is basic. We complain about underfunding, we complain on infrastructure, but what this young man needed was not a cutting-edge medical something to save his life. Just bleeding control and IVF. Is that not it? How much does that cost? And the question we should be asking ourselves as a country is that we should ask, why is it that out of these 3 facilities, one doctor could not stand out and be counted and be the hero? It means there's an endemic institutional challenge we are not looking at. And the real truth is that we are in a technological world. It's just so difficult for our hospitals to have a system that link with the ambulance services, that ambulance services can know in real time availability of beds at these hospitals and that. But the truth of the matter is this, Doc. If you don't stabilize a patient and you refer the patient, that is negligence. So the triage is basic. So I think that the health minister should not raise his shoulder high. He is superintending over an institutional failure. And that is the more reason why he tried absorbing himself from the blame by the terms of reference he gave the committee. And Professor Akosa, as we all know, is a man of integrity. He's one of the few Ghanaians who will risk everything for his integrity, even his life. And we know his story. I don't need to repeat them here. So when we talk about some of these cultural things, it starts from the top. And it has to come through policy. It has to be come through some kind of transparent agenda and leadership. And this is what we are missing at our hospitals. So if we continue to blame these doctors, we may be missing a point. That is not to absorb them of blame. If I am paying you, I have to put systems to ensure that you do the work. So like you mentioned, if government pretend to be paying and I also pretend to be working, these are some of the things, the outcomes we will get as a country. And this is very serious. It could be any of us.
Yeah.
Because this guy is an engineer. He had an accident. He didn't even know this is where fate will bring him. Yeah. And this is the irony of the whole scenario. I'm not singling him out as if he's a special human being than others who are falling victim to some of these things. His own sisters are medical doctors, saving people's lives. And I listened to the sister who was in tears that I go all out to save others' life. And when it came to my own brother's life, my own colleagues let me down. That is a very serious statement we must digest in many forms. So I'll plead with government, enough of the talking. Let's get an overhaul of the systems, put a legally binding teeth to our healthcare infrastructure in this country. Look, we are talking about Accra. If you go to the underserved communities, it's so pathetic. The cheap compounds without electricity. How do you even do any meaningful thing there? We pretend in this country as if Ghana is just Accra, Kumasi, or Takoradi. Go to the underserved communities. It's so pathetic.
It happens everywhere. This thing almost
and you made a point, and I want to echo it. Look, people in authority, there are places you must make sure you keep clean. Prisons are one, hospitals are another. Yeah. You remember PVOB?
Yeah.
He had a heart attack on the road. It was a taxi driver who took him in his car. And before he got to hospital, he couldn't survive. If we have systems in place, and we have the capacity to do that, it's not as if we don't. We are just misapplying our funds. Yeah. So we shouldn't put these things squarely on the doctors. I understand that individual doctors engaged in this matter must be singled out for blame, but the larger blame is institutional.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's Emmanuel Kuting also sharing his thoughts. I need to go for a break, but
Eric, you know what? As I sit here, Sunday is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
My mom died 2004 as a result of negligence. My mom. So I don't like talking about it because I get emotional.
I have a personal story as well. 2014, Dantuman Polyclinic. There was a syringe that had been put in me which was not going, and I was beginning to pass out. Wow. My mom was calling the nurse and she refused to attend to me until she started wailing and crying and making noise in the dead of the night. No, there was a drip. Okay. It wasn't going any longer, right. And my arm was swelling, and I had a near-death experience actually.
Yeah, some of the medicines can
but
yeah.
UGM.
UGMC.
See, my mother-in-law had an emergency. We took her there. Yeah. You have to pay 2,000 before they can. It shouldn't be the case. It's a bad policy. That is not equitable. So if I didn't have the 2,000 to put, what happens?
Yeah, at that particular.
So the Parliamentary Health Committee, look, our committees, the Health Committee in Parliament, they must look at some of these things. They are there to advise, bring the legal lucrative frameworks and systems that work both ways. They have a lot of work to do out there.
There's a big hole.
There's a big hole.
You need to fill in.
Look, if you want to open phone lines, to ask Ghanaians to call, a lot of people have died through similar, except that it has not been reported. Yeah. And except that this guy is well-to-do in society, the sisters are medical doctors themselves, and these stories came up. There are 1,001 cases of this nature. So if you don't get the institution at play, we have another Amissah in transit.
Doc, I'll just come to you finally on this subject so that I'll take a break because you're the health expert amongst us. We've seen a number of recommendations that's come through. Most notable was the health management or the bed management system, which was spoken about. Yeah. Do we know how far we've gone in having that available for us in beginning to deal with the situation and the recommendations in general, so that I can take this quick break and then we return and talk about some other matters?
I think the minister even promised before this that they were working on a software to ensure that they link all hospitals so that they report their bed status to a central command center. In that way, when you are referring a patient anywhere, you can get it. Now that this has happened, definitely as a committee, the report has been, we've received the report as well. Definitely we're meeting the minister. So when we meet the minister, we'll ask him to update us to what extent it has gotten to. I don't think this is so difficult to develop, because look, if you take those of us who save with the country's bank, GCB, anybody on a small phone can access his account and transfer the money the way he wants. How much did it cost them to do it? That is just money issue. What about our lives? So any amount that we can spend to develop this type of software that would eliminate this thing, I think the minister is working hard to ensure that is done. But let me be clear here on some issue about the challenges, the systemic challenges that we are talking of. If you follow me keenly, in Parliament before we rose, I made a strong statement regarding the human resource needs of this country. And actually, I made the whole of Ghana to understand that we have just 1/3 of the number of doctors we need in this country. Wow. So out of 34,000, we have only 12,000. And the 12,000, some of them are registered in Ghana, but they work abroad. Some of them are retired, they can no longer work, but they are still in the register as doctors in Ghana. Meaning that we have about 10,000 doctors taking care of this country. And doctors actually have had serious problems with stress. If you go to the Medical and Dental Council, most of the negligence and other issues, medical malpractice that is happening, the results have come to show that some of them are suffering from depression and other things.
And so out of
even though I said this, my colleagues needed to do something, but let me be honest with Ghanaians, there's a lot of pressure on doctors. Even me sitting here, I consult on phone, because if somebody call you and say something and he's in his house in the night, calls you can't say no. You need to go here and buy this and do this. So I would beg that as we push to get the training of doctors increase in the country, more doctors will come in the country. We won't also condone anybody who has just violated the guidelines completely. At least we'll talk to it. In that way, we'll not look like we are defending ourselves so much. I would like to defend anybody in the health sector and then the rest. But if it becomes so obvious that you just refuse to do a job which you are supposed to do, yes, I'll blame you. But for the human resource needs and the infrastructure needs and those petty tangible things that we need to make the health sector work, we all agree and we all accept. But to be frank, some government comes and do a lot. And some government come and they don't do it. I don't want to go into politics when it comes to health. But to be honest, you all sitting here will agree with me. If Legon wasn't built, how would Accra have been? If Bank of Ghana wasn't built, how would Accra have been? If Maritime Hospital wasn't built, how would Accra have been? If Rich Hospital wasn't expanded. So tell me, the other government,
if Agenda 1
Okoboy and his government, which they should tell us what he added. They rather reduce the numbers. No, listen. You see, you are blaming government, but you see, I have to exonerate. No, you say it's a system.
Nobody blamed government. No. You see, you are taking it in a very.
You are saying the minister no. Putin said that the minister dodged in his recommendation and his. You see, we. Let me defend my government.
When we say government, all right, it is not a single government.
Oh, I thought you were meaning this government. Okay, then let me. Okay, then now I understand you. I was just trying to cite example.
See,
that's a republic.
They are
republic.
This was republic. Oh, okay. I thought it was this NDC.
You see politicians. When it comes to defend his interest.
We are so much interested in producing more lawyers than doctors. So we have done legal education reforms.
Yes.
We have not done
medical education reform. We will do it. It's the president that came. Medical schools have to be built. We are trying to open one medical school in Bolga to let Upper East people. You people
why don't you bring it to Saboba?
No. You are getting a university there around Yendi. The Minister of Education is bringing you a university there, so you can incorporate medical schools.
We need one in Saboba.
No, you get it. When the university comes,
big place.
When the university comes to Yendi, put the medical school there to serve you.
We have one in. We have one tertiary. Listen,
I have to go to Yendi.
I know this.
The next one has come to support.
I have a quick plea.
Yes, right.
Honorable, you talking about hospitals and health facilities. There is a concern from WAJA.
Yes.
Right. A children's hospital being constructed.
Yes.
We are pleading with you.
Yes.
Please commission it for us.
We'll commission it.
Pleading.
Let me tell you. Yesterday, when I heard it,
the residents
I went to the
calling.
ministry. Let me tell you, I went to the ministry to ask why. They told me the reason is genuine. The World Bank gave the money for them to construct the hospital, and the people they gave the money to do inflated the prices of some of the items, and World Bank altered it. It's not the ministry that is not commissioning it.
Okay.
It is not our money. Somebody gave money and you inflated the cost of the items by 3% to 11%, 3 times to 11 times. Then the person said, I've given you the money. I need accountability before we open it. Yes. So it is not the government which is not opening it. It is the owner, the one who gave out the money, who wants accountability before the thing will be open. But they are working. They are working to see how they can open it.
See what Doug is saying?
Yes.
Is very crucial.
Yes, I went to the ministry
yesterday. It has
yesterday.
become a national issue.
Yes.
We shouldn't politicize this thing.
Yeah.
Craft is eating away the trust we have in the international communities.
Yeah.
Look, these are people who have given us money.
Yes.
You accepted to do the work at a particular cost.
Yes.
I think under the terms of reference, you are allowed to vary it by 3%.
3%.
And you went 11%.
11%.
If you were the founder, how are you going to feel?
11%. 11 times.
11 times. Not 11 times.
So that is unacceptable.
I want to clarify your demand. You are genuine.
It's a plea.
Your plea is
It's a
genuine.
plea because the residents.
I don't like the way the MP there.
Yes.
As for the politicization, I mean,
do the politics.
Fad is not seeking to politicize.
Right.
He's just
No, he's only
asking.
now I'm explaining to you.
You are
genuine.
Speaking on matters of health.
Right.
It's a very genuine.
Oh no, we understand you, Doc. But I want to let you understand that it is not the deliberate attempt by government not to open it. It is simply because the one who gave out the money wants accountability.
By Jerry Ahmed should let the people understand this.
Yeah, he will
I don't like the way
He's politicizing it. I have to go for this break because the health conversation has taken on for a very long time. But when we return, we'll talk about Hanan. He was released yesterday, and then quick thoughts as well. We're almost out of time even. But let's do this quick break. We'll return, and then a few more matters here on the 3FM Sunrise.
Protect
We return on from the break. Let me just talk to you about the Achimota Retail Center because they are running a special Mother's Day promo and they are giving out amazing rewards. So if you want to be a part of it, call Linda on 024-747-1907 for your VIP experience package gift voucher for your super mom. It's a great experience to shop a wide range of products. Head to the Achimota Retail Center, get involved and make this May all about the people who matter most. Achimota Retail Center and your vibes in Kwan. Also, we've been telling you about the 24th African Athletics Championships, which is coming off between the 12th to the 17th of May at the University of Ghana Sports Complex, and a lot of superstars will be there, and so make sure you're a part of it as well. The second topic involving Hanan has already started in the studio. A number of individuals believe that the former Attorney General who represents Hanan and all of that does not have a moral authority to be making some of the comments he's been making. But let me start off with Fad because I have just 40 minutes to wrap up. Fad, he's been released now, but you in the NPP have not been happy with how everything has gone in relation to the case withdrawn, he being rearrested again, and a host of other matters.
I believe we are not happy because of the posture of the Attorney General. And I have to make this clear. You know, remember last year, April, right, when he started this prosecution, which we classified as public persecution. He made a statement, very emphatic statement, and I think I want to re-echo his words. He said, "I was never an incompetent lawyer in private practice. I don't want to be an incompetent lawyer in public service." This is the Attorney General. And at the back of that, he laid 5 charges against Hanan, proving to us that he has done a detailed and thorough work on his allegations. We knew very well it was public persecution. Let me go to the media, persecute them in the media, criminalize them in the media, then crucify them in the media. Because in the public opinion, you can't defend yourself to everybody's understanding. That is what he succeeded in doing. Then he went to the legal matters in the law courts. Unfortunately for him, he hits a block that he cannot overcome. And as a result of that, he quickly and smartly tells us that he's withdrawing the initial charges, right? And at the back of that, got Hanan rearrested.
Right.
That's where all this problem emanated again, right? Interestingly, after Hanan was rearrested, the concerns raised by his lawyers were that they've not had access to their clients, which I think is becoming not one, not twice.
The Deputy AG says Godfred Dame was granting interviews instead of going to Yoko to find his client because they were waiting for him.
That is a very unfortunate statement coming from the Deputy AG, with the greatest of respect to his person. You see, these are public officers, right, being paid with our taxpayers' money. Respectfully, if they do not respect the opposition, they should respect the intelligence of the Ghanaian people. Yesterday, I listened to Godfred Dame, and he stated categorically that there were other qualified lawyers who are even senior at the bar to the Deputy Attorney General. They were there at the premises, waiting to get access to their clients. When the driver of Hanan came in with food, one of the lawyers tried to even get access. They denied him. So where from all this allegation that it should be Godfred Dame? You see, I'm beginning to have this understanding that it is not the clients they are fighting, it's the legal representation, probably. Because if you look at the media banter coming from the Deputy Attorney General towards Godfred Dame, I ask myself, what if I have 3-4 lawyers? One is indisposed, right? The other 3 available. You deny them access and tell me that I am on media granting interview. Right. I think it is not helping our democracy. What is happening currently? And you see, sequence of events, you draw pattern, right?
Leads you to believe this is persecution.
This is persecution. It is becoming very common now, and I think it is not good for our democracy. Just like Ebo said earlier on that, as politicians, we are potential
prison
candidates for such situation, but we should not be persecuted because our party is in opposition.
Right.
We've seen some cases being left to go waste today because of change of government. We cannot continue on this tangent. We cannot keep on deceiving the Ghanaian people by lying to them that the NPP government had a lot of corrupt officials. And as a result of that, we were voted out of office. A new government comes in after 1 year, as we speak, a whole attorney general cannot determine a focus on prosecution of just even a single individual.
Thank you.
I think it's becoming one of many.
Because of time, I'll come to Mr.
much.
Kuting on this subject matter briefly, and then the other stock will come in, and then Ebo as well.
But, Mawina, I want to come on this matter as a neutral. I'm not here to defend Annan or the government. But you see, government made the Annan issue in particular their flagship oral agenda. And the Attorney General publicly presented evidence. So if this evidence cannot stand the test of time in court, that they have uncovered fresh evidence, it brings a lot of crisis issues here. And you see, if the citizens don't trust our judicial system, they will not engage with it. They will not go and testify, and wrongs will go unreported.
Right.
At the end of the day, who benefits? Look, to me, if the government knows that Annan has done the wrong things and there are fresh evidence to that, they should show us the
fresh evidence,
the framework, and not the handcuffs. We are not interested in the handcuffs. It sends a negative impression, rightly so or otherwise, as if there's factional politics at play here. Look, what prevented Yoko, after discovering fresh evidence, to collaborate with the prosecution so that at the point of release they can state their case publicly, that because of this fresh evidence we have stumbled upon, we are discontinuing this case, and Annan and the wife remain under our detention, and they may go through certain things to get bail. For them to arrest them, the rainbow style they did after their release in court is very unacceptable. And like you mentioned, any of us could be victims of where Annan is. Right. We on this table, we are all candidates for public office. And my senior brother daughter mentioned how human we are and how we can be fallible. I'm not saying Annan did something wrong or right, but I'm just looking at the whole caricature of our judiciary system.
Absolutely.
And we must be guided and minded that it took us time to build our independent prosecutorial system we have in our constitutional democracy. And we must do everything to protect that.
Absolutely.
Today, it is Hanan. Tomorrow, it could be somebody else. And when we allow some of these things to happen, it outlives a single government. And that is when retaliation comes in, and we begin to cycle in a vicious cycle, and government agenda, or by extension, poor Ghanaians who need development will not be able to get suffering. It, and will be wasting our time talking about some of these things.
I'll come to you now. It's pretty much a final word on the subject matter. So, on this Hanan subject.
I think that we have to ask ourselves whether what the Minister of the Attorney General,
Deputy Attorney General,
was right or wrong. Does the law permit for you to say this case we've dropped it, and then
so per law they can withdraw and file again?
Is it not the law is the law is the law?
No. The law is the law.
The law is the law. You see. Every look. We all know Hanan is in my. It comes from my area.
He contested with you, right?
No. It's in Pusiga, but I'm in Garu. Yes, and we lived in Tamale even before he became the buffer stock boss, and we know the life he lived and all that. Ghana, we have serious problems with corruption, and the whole entire public is looking at us NDC to ensure that we prove to them that the oral we can deal with it. We can really deal with the issues that we said we wanted to deal. And I'm also praying that my learned friend, the Attorney General and his deputy, would execute it. But he's saying that he is not going to rush to lose a case. He'll use all the mechanisms legally possible to ensure that he proves to the world that this. So if he thinks that he has to drop this case and reframe it, and then no, you see, yes, no, it's not the same. Cooking is different. Cooking is using water, fire, and then and reframe it and present it to the judge to win the case. He can do it. It is not forbidden. Look. If we politicians, we actually do not change our way of doing things, our lifestyle, and the way we go to offices, and at least resources are vanishing and work is not being done, Ghanaians will continue not to believe us, and will continue to be at variance with the population. So I really abhor corruption, and any way that the government can use to prove somebody guilty of resources, funds, and monies that they think he has not legally acquired them but through dubious means, I am for it. If at the end Hanan is free because they found nothing with him, that's fine. But if the Attorney General thinks that he can change the suit and then present it in a different way and win his case in favor for Ghanaians, not for himself, I am for it.
Right. Ebo, last word. And
yes, I think the original charges.
It should have been the first.
The original charges included stealing,
causing financial loss,
money laundering, causing financial loss.
Can he use the microphone?
Totaling over 78 million. That was the original charge, the one that has been dropped. You see, the Attorney General has done the wisest thing. The wisest thing. You are putting up a burden. When you go to the middle, you realize that there's a problem with the foundation. Do you continue to build to the top? No. You bring everything down and start all over again. That is what the Attorney General has done. See, corruption. You see, just a few minutes ago, we're talking about what? No bet issues. Corruption. We have the problems we have because of corruption. Of course, if people who knew Annan before his party came to power, if before and after your life is dramatically changed.
Is that the parameter to check corruption?
Oh, I'm coming. Yes, of course. Yes, it's also parameter. Hey, I know you. You could hardly buy a car tie. You could hardly rent a room. Your party comes to power. Within 4 years, you have mansions. You have about 5 cars in your house. Any serious nation will pay serious attention to that person.
A lifestyle audit.
And begin to investigate the person.
Proving the properties belongs to him. Sometimes some of this.
I'm saying that is why he's not being. That is why the case is in court. He's not in prison. That is why he's not in prison, but the case is in court.
Let's go to court.
Yes, that is why. But the case was in court.
Some of these things you keep emphasizing.
To withdraw and
the same things they are withdrawing.
You see, you don't want. You just don't want me to speak. That's I know your strategy.
It is not good, Ebo.
No, to withdraw. No, to withdraw. To withdraw and rearrest.
It's part of the law.
To recalibrate your strategy. You know, it's very important. It's very, very important. Corruption cases. Corruption cases.
We have to go. We have to go now.
So Attorney General has done the wisest thing.
Thank you.
We should go after all of them one by one.
Thank you.
Transparency. 13th All African Games. Mustafa's issue. We want to hear another Mustafa Hamid. We want to hear that one too.
Right.
National service. The ghost names. We want to see all the ghosts.
Hello.
You see, Ima, if we can reduce corruption by 50%.
We are not saying, look.
50%.
A minute for me to wrap up. I have to come in. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining us in studio.
Attorney General, in the face of the law, has done nothing wrong.
No, but
in this matter, he's done nothing wrong.
You should stay public.
The law.
You should stay public.
When did the law cease to be the law? No, when did the law cease to be the law?
You should stay publicly. The legal basis for the rearrest.
That was not stated.
No. All right, gentlemen, thank you. Your mics are off. Let me say a big thank you to Fad Osman, soon to be doctor in the month of July. He's a member of the NPP National Communications team. Ebo Bachman is the Deputy Director of Communications for the United Party. Emmanuel Kuti is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. Also in studio with us is Dr. Thomas Anaba. He is a Member of Parliament for Garu and a member of the Health Committee of Parliament as well. I have a few birthdays and so I have to get them out of the way as well.